Many years ago, something unbelievable happened in my neighborhood. There was a girl called Bambi, who was the second daughter of her family, the Okonkwo's family. Bambi was a very beautiful, polite and respectful girl that every girl in the neighborhood admired. The mothers in the neighborhood never hesitated to use her as an example whenever any of the girls was found misbehaving. Bambi's character made the family so proud and made them the talk of the town, as everybody wanted to be associated with Bambi's family. The love for the family was too much, to the extent that even pregnant women go to see Bambi's mother to bless them so they can have children who will just be like Bambi. There is a saying that opposite traits attracts. That was the case of Bambi and her only friend Kesiena. Kesiena was known to be a loud and ready for fun type of girl. In short, she was the direct opposite of Bambi. Everyone in the neighborhood kept wondering how two direct opposite people can have such strong bonds in friendship. As time went on, Bambi's elder sister called Oma got married to a very rich man, a big business tycoon that deals on building materials. And after a year, she gave birth to twin baby boys. Oma wasn't finding it easy to take care of her children, so she and her husband agreed and called her parents one Sunday morning before they left for mass. Oma said on the phone, "Papa, how are you? And Mama, and how are my siblings?" Her father replied, "We are doing fine. God has been good to us." Oma proceeded, "Papa, there is something I and my husband has discussed, and I want to speak to you about it." Her father replied, "Hope all is well, oh." Oma said, "Yes, Papa, all is well, but I will like you to permit Bambi to come and stay with me, as it has not been easy for me taking care of the twins and my husband is hardly at home." Oma was not sure if the father will release Bambi to come and stay with her, as everyone knew that Bambi was her father's favorite. When her father heard what she had said, he went silent for a few minutes, and then he said to her, "As long as you promise to look after her and treat her nicely." He said so because Oma was known to be a no-nonsense person, but Oma assured Papa that she would do her very best in taking care of Bambi. That night, Papa called Bambi after discussing with his wife, Bambi's mother. They sat Bambi down and told her that she will be going to Onitsha to stay with her elder sister, Oma. Mama told her, "Bambi, even as you go there, be sure to continue living a good life and show forth a good attitude." Bambi replied her parents and said, "Papa and Mama, you know I have never disappointed you before. I will keep being a good girl and make you proud." Bambi's parents prayed for her and blessed her. She and her father were to travel by the evening of the next day. So by the morning of their departure, Bambi ran to tell her friend Kesiena about her proposed travel and that she will be living with her eldest sister henceforth. Kesiena responded and said, "Bambi, I will miss you. So you are leaving me all alone in this village. Chai." But wait, oh, you told your boyfriend Emeka? Kesiena asked Bambi. Bambi responded casually and said, "I will tell him, Joe. Let me get to Onitsha first. After all, I have been looking for a way to dump him, as he is a poor man and cannot even meet up with my needs." Bambi's response made both of them to burst into laughter. Kesiena then advised Bambi to ensure that she does not slack or be a dull girl once she gets to Onitsha. She made her to promise to always call her to discuss any latest gist in town. 3 months of Bambi's stay in her sister's house, she had begun to notice how her sister's husband, Mr. Castle, would always leave the house as early as 5 a.m. and return by 8 p.m. daily. So it was her responsibility to ensure that food was ready. Her sister's children had eaten and gone to bed. One of the days when Bambi went to serve food to her sister's husband, she went breathless to the dining because she was about taking her bath before her sister's husband came in. While she was serving the food, she noticed her sister's husband could not stop looking at her breast. In short, he was glued to it. This made her down uncomfortable and hurriedly served him and left to retire to her bed for the night. That night, she felt a hand caress her body, but she was too deep in sleep to get up, and she was not sure if it was in a dream or reality. Bambi couldn't stop fantasizing about her sister's husband, as he reminded her of the first man she fell in love with, Mr. Yamani. She met him on the way when she and Kesena were going to fetch water from their village stream. It was a love at first sight for Mr. Yamani. Though he was in his early 30s when she was just 18 that year, Yamani showered her with so much love and gifts. It was after 7 months of their relationship that she found out that Mr. Yamani was married and even had a child. She confronted him about it, but he pleaded and told her that he loves her and he cannot leave her. She fell for his lies, and that's how they continued, and she lost her virginity to him. Only Kesena, her friend, knows about her secrets, and she trusts her that she will not expose her. Knock on the door brought her back from her fantasies. She hurriedly went to open the door for her sister, who shouted at her for keeping her waiting that long. Her sister asked her, "What delayed you? Do you know how long I've been standing at the door?" Bambi responded and said, "I am sorry. I was deep in sleep." Oma replied in anger, "In sleep? By this time of the day? Do you know what time it is, Bambi?" she asked. "So you want me to go late to work? It's already 8 a.m. and nothing has been done in the house." Bambi hurriedly left her room and started her daily chores while her sister rounded up with her personal things. She reminded Bambi to ensure she feeds the kids once it was 8:30 a.m. Then she left the house for work. By 3 p.m. in the afternoon, Mr. Castle came back home, which was unlike him to be back by that time. Bambi was shocked to see him enter the living room. He saw the surprise in her eyes and casually told her he needed to come pick something from the house as his goods were still on its way. Bambi greeted him, "Good afternoon, sir," and handed him a glass of water. She was about going into the kitchen to get him food when he quickly held her hand and drew her close to himself. Her body was touching his body. He looked at her directly into her eyes and said, "I know you have been wanting me to do this with you. I see the way you look at me most times, but I knew it was time for me to make my move when you came flaunting your breast at me while serving me food last night." Bambi was about to say some things while trying to escape from his grasp, but he placed his hand on her mouth and silenced her. That was how he planted a kiss on her lips. The rest, they say, is history. There is a saying that 100 days for the thief, but 1 day is for the owner. That was the case of Bambi and Mr. Castle, and they soon ran out of luck. It all happened that one day while Oma was returning from work, her neighbor, Mrs. Pepe, who was also a dear friend to her, held her by the hand and dragged her one side of the road and asked her, "Oma, are you sure you are okay? Are you not seeing what is going on under your nose?" "What do you mean? What is going on?" Oma replied her, with surprise and questioning look on her face. "Even if your eyes are blind, can't you hear as well? So you have not heard of the rumor going on that your husband is sleeping with your younger sister?" Bambi, "What?" Oma shouted in shock and said, "Pepe, that is a joke. Please come off it. Don't disrespect my family by those assumptions, and don't ever make such a statement about my husband again," she warned and walked away. As she got home, she could not get her mind off what her friend told her. She knows her friend Pepe to be a woman who does not talk anyhow. She knows that for her to have come out and speak directly to her about that matter, then she has to find out by herself. On getting home, she met Bambi packing their clothes inside as they were dried and it was about to rain. She stared at her for some minutes while muttering to herself that how is it possible that Bambi, who was known as the best behaved girl in their village, could do something like that. It just doesn't add up, she said to herself. Nevertheless, I will still put my eyes down and watch them closely. She concluded a month after that revelation from her friend. While on her way to work one Tuesday morning, she overheard two ladies murmuring at one corner of the street and pointing at her. As she got to work, she kept checking the time, as she was determined to confront her neighbor and ask her further questions. For Bambi, she kept pretending and acting like a good girl whenever her sister was around. But whenever her sister left for work, she would wear skimpy dresses and sit in the parlor or in their corridor waiting for her sister's husband to come back, or their neighbor, Mr. Sambo, who she has also seduced. Mr. Sambo was a married man whose wife was hardly around, as she travels very often due to the type of job she had, and the couple were yet to have any children of their own. So Bambi grabbed that opportunity to sleep with him whenever her sister's husband wasn't available and Mr. Sambo's wife was not in town. She was indeed enjoying herself, or so she felt. Little did she know that her happiness was going to be cut short, as she soon ran out of luck. On that day, she was invited to Mr. Sambo's house, just as usual, and as she was sneaking out of her sister's apartment, Mr. Castle, her sister's husband, was just walking into the compound and caught her red-handed as she sneaked into Mr. Sambo's house. Out of anger and deep jealousy, he walked straight to Mr. Sambo's house. Pom pom pom, he knocked. He could hear scattering noises from inside the house as he waited for them to open the door. Mr. Sambo was hesitant to open the door. He did not want to alert the neighbors. Mr. Castle lost his patience and broke into Mr. Sambo's apartment. He yelled at him and said, "Shameless man, so you want to destroy this small girl's life just as the way you destroyed your wife's life. That's why the both of you cannot have any children of your own." Those words threw Mr. Sambo into deep rage, and he replied him and said, "Castle, will you keep quiet?" he shouted. "You think we don't know that you have been sleeping with her since the first year she started living in your house in this compound?" Oma, who was just at the gate of the compound, was wondering who was making Mr. Sambo shout like that and who he was referring to. She had to return home as she had forgotten a stamp needed in the office for submitting a file that afternoon at work. Hurriedly went to the scene, and to her greatest surprise, she saw her husband in front of Mr. Sambo's apartment and her younger sister Bambi trying to hide behind Mr. Sambo, wearing very skimpy and revealing dress. This girl has killed me. She has brought shame to the family. She has brought shame to my community. She has brought shame to me in this compound. Oma screamed and wished the ground could open up and swallow her inside, as she was so ashamed, and by then the other neighbors had gathered. That was when her friend Mrs. Pepper looked at her and said, "She, I told you now, you said I should not bring shame to you, I should not talk about your family like that. Now you see." Oma covered her face in shame as she walked into her apartment and closed her door. Mr. Castle followed his wife while begging and pleading for her forgiveness. He was saying, "My wife, please forgive me. I don't know when it happened. This is the work of the enemies. If you leave, who will take care of our children? Please forgive me." Oma was too deeply hurt and paid no attention to him. She proceeded to Bambi's room and packed all her things and threw them out of the house. She sent Bambi back to the village that same day. Sambo's wife also left him, as she said she could not continue with a cheater as a husband. A month after Bambi returned to the village, her parents discovered that she was pregnant and could not identify which of the men she had slept with was the owner of her pregnancy. As for her sister's husband, Mr. Castle, he kept begging his wife for her forgiveness. Thank Thank you everyone for watching to the end of this video. So this video is an eye-opener that evil communication corrupts good manners, and that as parents and guardians, we should have a close watch of our words and the people living with us. Let's hear your side from the comment section. Thank you.